pledge allegiance
to the flag
of the
United States of America
and
to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Councilmember Erby? Councilmember Page?
Here.
Councilmember Wassinger? Here. Councilmember Gray? Present. Councilmember Dolan?
Here.
Councilmember Tracus?
Present.
Councilmember Harding?
Here.
Mr. Chair, we have a quorum.
The motion. Go ahead.
I move for the approval of the journal of the meeting of July 24th, 2018.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Also move for the approval of the journal of the meeting of July 27th, 2018.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We have no bid openings tonight, so we'll move to communications.
Mr. Chair, there are no tax compromises, zoning matters, or road and bridge matters this evening, so we'll move to other communications. Under other communications, item number 1, 6th District.
Receive, file, and refer to the Department of Transportation and Public Works, the Department of Planning, and to the County Council, please.
So ordered.
Item number 2, 2nd District.
Receive, file, and the County Council will be directed to prepare the appropriate legislation, and that will be the order.
Item number 3, 6th District.
Receive and file.
So ordered.
Item number 4.
Receive, file, and the County Council will be directed to prepare the appropriate legislation. Same motion for item number 5, and that will be the order.
Item number 6, 5th District.
Receive, file, and the County Council will be directed to prepare the appropriate legislation.
So ordered.
Item number 7, 6th District.
Receive, file, and the deposit agreement be accepted or approved as recommended, please.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Item number 8.
Receive, file, and the County Council will be directed to prepare the appropriate legislation. Same motion through item number 17, and that will be the order. I would like to comment on item number 15. I don't believe that we have 100,000 people in St. Louis County living with bipolar disorder or schizophrenia. I believe that's an error, but I do recognize that this is a serious problem, and the drug courts are doing a good job navigating this, and this is a worthy project. Next item.
Item number 18, 4th District.
Please hold on the order of business.
So ordered. Report of the county. Go ahead.
No add-ons, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Report of the county executive.
Nothing further this evening.
Report of special committees.
Mr. Chair, I had anticipated submitting an interim report from the Ethics Committee tonight, summarizing the first 2 meetings that we held, the first one on July 5th and the second on July 24th. That report is still in process, so I'd like to hold this matter on the agenda and be able to address that and hopefully have the report ready for the council next week.
Okay. So ordered. Public forum.
We have 16 speakers tonight, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. When your name is called, please come to the podium and give us your name and address for the record. Adjust the microphone so we can capture your comments, and please try to keep your remarks to 3 minutes. First speaker.
First speaker this evening is Steve Brewer.
Excuse me, my name is Steve Brewer. I live at 7411 Sussex in Maplewood, 63143. I'm speaking in support of Bill 155 regarding county parks and the public vote motion of that. I thank the council members, county executive, and council chair on this. I am representing Missouri Coalition for the Environment. I'm a sitting board member. I'm also have 35 years running and managing park systems, including 12 and a half years with St. Louis County Parks. 7 years Missouri State Parks, 4 years with U.S. Forest Service, and probably 10 years with the city of Clayton. Normally, I would, I guess I'd be, well, let me rephrase that. I support the The citizens of St. Louis County have proven over and over that they support the county park systems. They've done so in a manner of the sales tax initiative, and I think it's been done judiciously. So I'm going to cut this short and basically say I trust, even as a park professional, even with a master's in park administration, I support this in St. Louis County. There's probably communities throughout the nation, I couldn't say that far, but in St. Louis County, I think the people have, the citizens, the taxpayers, have shown they support their systems, and I think they will support this move if you all allow that. It doesn't take away from the mission of the county park system or the county council in terms of putting something up for a change, but it would come up for a vote, and I think that's fair. With that, I'll just leave and say I truly hope you support that. I think the people will be very happy with that, and there'll be a lot of benefits to that in the future, and we'll protect our system. Thank you so very much.
Thanks, Steve.
Next speaker is Murray H. Edwards.
Good evening. My name is Murray Edwards. I am a native of St. Louis. My address is 5603 Emack Avenue, Lanham, Maryland. I am here in opposition to the county's new hire for the Chief Diversity Officer. I have experience with the young man who you hired, and it's been extremely dubious in and out of court. The young man has proven himself to be unworthy of this seat. I've called your office. I've asked that you terminate this gentleman immediately. Although I'm very appreciative that you hired an African American, I believe it's important that we have African Americans in those seats. But this is the wrong guy. This guy was responsible for the theft of my personal documents while I was an MBE, DBE company through the city of St. Louis. He turned my personal documents over to the other side that I was suing in court. I've asked my attorney, Mr. Gary Groh, to pull that calls number and pull that document and to submit it to you, Mr. Stinger. I must say, I'm very disappointed in your choice. Your choice for Chief Diversity Officer is a very critical position and choice to run that program in which I am a part of. If he's willing to do it to me, he is subject to do it to anyone else. I have called for you to terminate this gentleman, and I would like to see him replaced with another African American. I am the former chairman of the board of the National Minority and Women Business Input Committee for the federal government Civil Rights Department. And I can tell you that the city of St. Louis and St. Louis County has failed minority businesses miserably, and that is known throughout the country. I canceled my my trip to Seattle today to meet with the Nordstrom's family to address minority issues, only to stay here and try to address this issue. There are many minority businesses in our community that are suffering because of unfair contract practices. I've spoken to the Inspector General's office at the United States Department of Transportation on a number of occasions about St. Louis City and St. Louis County failure to address 49 CFR 26 and 49 CFR 41. You have failed, and for you to make this choice today is a bigger failure. You should have known better. You should have done better. And I am also willing to help. This council doesn't reflect
Thank you.
what. May I have one more minute?
If you can sum things up, yes.
Yes, sir. Thank you. This county has failed us. As an African-American male and the former chairman of the board, a native of St. Louis, I find myself have to travel outside of St. Louis in order to find work. That's why I'm in Prince George's County, because you have failed me and you have failed my community. We must do better for all of us. And thank you for the time.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Paul Orlandorf.
I'm going to read this. Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. I am here representing the Sierra Club group from the Eastern Missouri, and our request is that you support Bill 155. Our group has over 3,000 members throughout St. Louis County. A common stereotype of a Sierra Club member is someone hiking a mountain or kayaking whitewater. But the truth is that we also greatly appreciate our local parks as places for evening walks, family gatherings, local sports, and just relaxing. Over the past few years, we have joined with other citizens to support park budgets, to participate in park planning, and to push back against the sale of park property and inappropriate park development. We view Bill 155 as a way to ensure that citizens have a voice in critical decisions about proposed park sales and about non-recreational development in parks. Bill 155 will keep citizens involved in these critical decisions. The past few years have seen some significant controversies over county park issues, but we are hopeful that the council and citizens are moving in a better direction now. Passage of Bill 155 will keep us on that course. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Michael Burton.
Hello all, Michael Burton here, 8032 Pembroke, 63123, Afton, Missouri. I don't know if this is the most appropriate place to do this, but I believe it will be the most effective. I'm going to direct my comments to you, Mr. Chairman, but I'm just going to look over here towards the media. If any of you or all of you could report on this story, I think it would all serve St. Louis County residents well. Over the past few months along the campaign trail, I have listened to Lisa's views, Lisa Clancy, and ideas. I have found we stand for many of the same things. Lisa is currently polling higher than myself, and I am deeply concerned about splitting the vote, which would let Mr. Dolan sit in that seat for another 4 years. This simply cannot happen. After a lot of thought and contemplation, I have decided to withdraw my candidacy for St. Louis County Council and fully endorse Lisa Clancy. Quite frankly, she is one impressive woman. I hope to someday call her a dear friend. She texted me during the Tower T farewell concert, and she said, "Michael, I just want to let you know, I met with some residents, I went to the concert, and I wanted to let you know I am listening," which I appreciated greatly. Lisa has many endorsements, and she just got one more. Thank you all. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Kevin. Last name starts with a B. I'm not sure what the. I'm sorry, Mr. Chair, can we ask the speaker to spell his last name?
Could you spell your name?
R-R-Y, sorry about that.
Thank you.
Good evening, Kevin Berry, 6500 Hege Road. I'm really thankful that we have an opportunity as citizens to have a voice in a public setting like this. On a sadder note, I just recently read that the United States has fallen to number 21 on the list of democratic societies. The first 19 are considered full democracies. The next category is flawed, which we have just landed for the first time since 1946. Every couple of years, we seem to lose position. Steady decline, sad for a nation that founded democracy. I hope this gives people some thought. But I'm here to talk about Tower T. McBride and Son wants to build houses there where the original Tower T was. The original plan was for 155 homes on 26 acres, or 0.16 acres per house, but less when you put in streets and other necessities of land. So it's very dense. The property is adjacent to a chemical company, which deals with many known carcinogens daily, and a railroad track. This here is a decibel reader. Right now it's measuring about 76. It measures sound levels. And that's about normal for people speaking 65, 75. The sound of a train horn by law needs to be very loud. Most train levels put out decibel rating of 140 to 155. A jet plane is 130. And a loud concert is 115 to 120, but I think I've heard louder. The cutoff point for a safe decibel rating is 85. At prolonged periods of 85, even at as low as 85, prolonged periods can cause ear damage. The newest studies this century by major university hospitals have shown that living near loud decibel ratings like this cause severe sleep disorders and heart disease. The study also shows, as opposed to last century, the studies just weren't that well done or that in-depth, but the newer studies are showing it's just not healthy. Living near a train track with diesel exhaust causes severe asthma in children and cancer. I plan on sending this information to the offices of McBride & Sons because I guess there's always the remote possibility they just don't know this information. I hope when McBride finally has a viable plan for this property and it comes up in front of the Planning Commission or the County Council, that the voice of the people, you seriously consider the consequences of putting a living area into a proven known unhealthy land zone. Allowing this property to stay as it is now, a park or sports area, would be much preferable than a living area for human beings. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Terry Pellick.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Terry Pellick. I live at 7924 East Yorkshire in Afton, Missouri.
Mr. Chair, can we ask the speaker to pull the mic a little closer?
Yes, can you adjust the microphone?
Okay.
Thank you.
You can pull it closer to you.
I have been to several council meetings and spoke, as you all know. And things I have observed in these coming to these meetings. Excuse me, I'm upset by the news I just heard from Mr. Michael. I've observed our councilman, Mr. Dolan, being made aware of making inaccurate statements concerning the rezoning of the Higgy property in Afton, also known as Tower T. Having to clarify them and walk them back. Specifically with his office telling Stephanie Guth their feedback has been 50-50. And yet again at the Webster Groves Parade, Mr. Dolan told a constituent it's a done deal. With all this misinformation floating about, I try to reassure the people I come in contact with that the magic word contingent, this is the word Mr. Dolan seems to always forget regarding this property. On July 26th at ACIA meeting, I witnessed it myself. 7 Holy Founders held an event for the candidate in our District 5. All 3 candidates spoke, and the people who were in attendance were allowed to ask questions as a forum. At one point, Mr. Dolan was asked a question about the Higgy property, in which in his reply, it was sold. Trying to contain myself, potentially waiting to speak again, raised my hand. I was called upon. I clarified Mr. Dolan's statement to the group, telling them that the contract is contingent on rezoning, which was a shock to several of the residents in that meeting. I believe Mr. Dolan is misleading and deceiving the public. Mr. Dolan, would you please stop sending misinformation and quit the political shenanigans? Thank you very much.
Next speaker is Karen Meyer.
Thank you, Chairman Page and County Council members. My name is Karen Meyer, and I live at 12793 Parkway Estates Drive, and that's 63146, just outside of Maryland Heights in St. Louis County, unincorporated. Chairman Page, I'm in your District 2, and I appreciate your work on the proposed substitute Bill number 1 for Bill 155 regarding St. Louis County parks. And thanks to all the council members for your consideration of this bill and allowing me to speak tonight. Having lived in St. Louis County most of my life, I value and use our parks regularly, mainly for hiking, biking, birding, and other nature watching. I've worked alongside many other volunteers who also care a great deal about our parks. The camaraderie and shared accomplishment we enjoy while performing a common service in our parks is very rewarding to me and to the other volunteers. Whether it's picking up trash, removing invasive plants, planting and maintaining native trees, shrubs, or perennials, leading a bird walk, monitoring a bird box, or building and maintaining trails, we gain an even greater appreciation, I think, because of what we've helped create and maintain. Though I may not be able to speak personally to all the different reasons people use parks, I believe it's very important that we all have an opportunity to have an outdoor experience in a county park. When I'm in such an environment, I feel I'm in an oasis where I can appreciate the gifts of nature, breathe cleaner air, refresh my spirit, clear my mind, and improve my overall health. I believe more and more people have come to understand the intrinsic value of our public open spaces. So many green spaces are slipping away each day because of expansive human development. For this reason, it's even more important that we protect existing and future parks from special interests. I'm truly grateful that Substitute Bill 1 for Bill 155 will give voters and taxpayers a say if private profits threaten to compromise county parks. Please vote in favor of this bill. Thank you for your time and service.
Thank you, Karen.
Next speaker is Keith Conway.
Thank you to the county council and the executive. Listen, my name is Keith Conway. I stay at 8013 Schoolway, City of Kinloch. I'm here today in dire need of the county assistance. We had a group of people show up on Schoolway, the 8,000 block, and they taking it over. We're talking maybe about 15 people, even more. Well, to say that they all, I hate to say it, but they just took the street over. They're selling drugs. We have a park right across the street, and they taking the park over. We can't drive up our street. We can't get our mail. They block the mailbox. They blocking the driveways. And I got some elderly people that stay on that street. And they look to me, they say, Keith, well, what can we do? I said, well, I'm going to go out to the county. Now, we did go to the city hall in Kinloch. Excuse me. And they tried, but they don't have the manpower. And I mean, we talking outsiders. We don't know any of these people. You know, and if we leave right now and went to my street, we wouldn't be able to get up in the street. I mean, it's terrible. It's bad. We need help bad. I mean, they block and they just selling right in the open. You know, I was coming home one day and they argue with us. They younger too. So they're younger, bands hanging down, and they do have firearms. So we approach them lightly, you know, but ain't much we can do, you know. But I'm telling you, I called our county councilwoman, Irby. I told her, you know, please call me back. I didn't get anything. So we're kind of going up the chain, but man, it's sad. We really need help. And we're not asking you to come out and protect all of Kinloch. It's just this particular spot where these people decided to come. I don't know what made them come, but we can't get them off the street. We can't get up our street. We can't get our mail. I mean, it's sad. I mean, and if something's going to happen bad real soon, I see it. Because, I mean, it's just crowded. Every day, all day, from morning to night. Now, please, I'm here begging. You know, we are in dire need. Something is going to happen. Soon as somebody get killed or something, county going to have to come out and investigate anyway. We need to stop this problem before it even starts. And they've been there, I'll say maybe 6 or 7 weeks. And we've been trying to come up with a way to, you know, where y'all come from. You know, this is our home. Please leave. But we can't get them away. I mean, they argue with us. It's very, very little we could do. But please, if you can help us, some kind of task force, we need to get rid of them because they're going to be a big problem. Thanks, sir. I really need your help.
One of our lieutenants in a white shirt back there, would you talk to him on your way
Oh,
out?
I certainly will. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Sandra Boyd. Next speaker is Eric Petty.
Eric Petty, I live on 8112 Court, and I live in front of Keith Conway. The problem is that what he said is described right now. But when you guys, you got 2 cars out there, but they're protecting the new Snooks. You got 2 kind of cars out there. We need, like I said, we need a task force. When Norwood come down and County behind there, they start walking away. The nickname out there with St. Louis County is the Terminator. County don't play when they come out there. So we need a task force. He is right. You call Norwood, it's contract with Norwood. I'm an ex-alderman out there. And I'm a union worker. I'm a bricklayer. Union bricklayer. Well, no, shouldn't be saying that, but you got people retired from Boeing's, Ford plant and stuff. We got a problem, like he said. But every time county come out there, even just riding through, people leave. Because they know county going to lock you up, don't matter if you got a warrant for a nosebleed. So we need a task force out there, like he said. We got an epidemic. Because Norwood come out there and run them away, they come right back. They know Norwood ain't going to do too much. When they see that uniform, excuse me, sir, they know you guys don't play. You hear me, Stinger, sir? Yeah, we got a problem out there. You know, and I don't know the situation with the City Hall. I don't get along with City Hall. He don't either. Because that's all I got to say. But we do need to talk to somebody to come out there with a task force. Because they walk around with rifles. See, criminals know what they get away with. And they know, I'm not knocking Norwood, but they know Norwood ain't going to really do too much. Before I came out here, I keep a lot clean. They just dump right then and there. Before I came out, I had to pick it up and put it over another spot. Where we live at is a free range. That's all I got to say. Burning up cars out there is free range. Anything goes. We need St. Louis County to come out there with a task force and put it down. Oh, this will stop. Trust me. So that's all I got to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Curtis Faulkner.
This time I'll pass.
Kira Braxton.
Good evening, my name is Kira Braxton. Last week I talked about the county executive not holding his word to 55 Justice Services employees to corrections medicine and essentially failing 4,000 plus county employees who have not received annual merit increases over the last 11 years. And I still stand by what I said. I know where my vote's not going. But to give a view, because sometimes people think, well, that's just one vote. That doesn't matter. I've been just swarmed with employees from all over the county that watched the council meeting last Tuesday, and they commended me for having the guts to say what every county employee is thinking and how every county employee feels. That over 4 years, we've been let down. When I started in 2008, that's the year the wage freeze began. Had it not been for me pushing for promotions, I would still be where I was in 2008, making $10.58 an hour. That does nothing for my family. There are still coworkers of mine that are still making that amount of money. People think because you work for the county and you get a pension and everything like that, that's great. But there are people that make less than $25,000 a year, and they're faithful, dedicated employees. A view of this one lost vote, my grandmother turned 95 years old today. She had, with my grandfather, 13 children. That equates to 26 with spouses. Those 13 children had 50 grandchildren. I have 50 first cousins just on my mom's side. That equates to 100 with spouses. Then she has 35 great-grandchildren, many of whom are old enough to vote. So if you think that's just one lost vote, that's a lot. And then there's friends, there's family, there's coworkers. A coworker of mine has a saying that the alphabet has 26 letters, which make up words, sentences, and paragraphs. And those make up promises and mistruths when they're spoken out of your mouth. Mr. Stenger, we're tired of your promises that equate to mistruths. The 2019 budget has not come out, has not been solidified yet. The 55 Justice Services employees are not in it for the increases that you said we deserve on many council meetings that you agreed to, that you said you would support and push through. The corrections medicines are not slated in the 2019 budget to receive the increases that you said the health fund could fund and sustain for them. And the other 4,000 plus employees that are still waiting, that didn't get anything, that are waiting for this merit freeze to be thawed out, to be unfrozen. You know, we work hard, we come here, we still do our job, but the morale throughout the county, exactly what I said to you, in case you want to know, is how every county employee feels about your administration as a county executive.
Next speaker is Mitch Leachman.
Mr. Chairman, members of the council, good evening. My name is Mitch Leachman. I live at 2728 Lakeport Drive in Maryland Heights. I come here tonight to speak on behalf of Substitute Bill 1 for Bill number 155, 2018, the Parks Protection Measure. I've been before you previously, and you may remember me as the Executive Director of the St. Louis Audubon Society. My organization is in favor of the substitute bill, and our comments have been previously read into the record. These comments tonight are my own. Being a tree hugger, an environmentalist, a naturalist, or whatever you call us is tough, but it shouldn't be. In fact, all of us depend on a healthy and functioning environment and should all be proud to be labeled as such. Tree hugging should be the norm. We should thank the trees and all of nature every day for allowing us to continue to live. If you think that sounds dramatic, just keep in mind that we depend upon the environment for the air we breathe, the water we drink, the food we eat, the lumber for our houses, and on and on. So, if I had my way, every decision by this body and every other government body, corporation, organization, and landowner would first and last take into account the environment. The goal would be that each action would be benign or have a net positive impact on the environment. Where that is deemed impossible, mitigation would be required to offset the negative outcome. Now, coming back to earth, so to speak, and recognizing I'm not going to be king anytime soon, the Parks Protection Measure is a reasonable, doable, and wise small step for nature. Our parks, natural areas, green spaces belong to the people and are the best local manifestation of a healthy environment. With due respect, politicians, corporations, lobbyists, and even civil servants should not be able to sell, dispose, or significantly alter them without at least getting buy-in from the voters. Frankly, this is a very small and easy ask. I hope each of you would agree and that the council will unanimously approve the Parks Protection Measure for the November ballot. Our parks, the trees, and the people will thank you. Thank you for your time, attention, and service.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Dolly. Last name starts with an M. MENSAH? Thank you.
Hello, good evening, Chairman Page, council members, and Executive Stanger. My name is Dale Mensah, and I live in the 2000 block of Krause Hill Place in Hazelwood, 63042. I'm here today to ask you to talk about the Missouri Clean Energy District, MCED. Between November 2016 and July 2018, 27 municipalities within St. Louis County have joined MCED, administered by Renovate America. That means 48% of the county's total households now have access to both MCED and the current County Clean Energy Program, Missouri Energy Savings Program, or MOESB. However, a St. Louis County Council legislative action is needed to allow all county households to have access to MCED. Otherwise, approximately 32% living in the unincorporated areas of the county cannot enjoy Renovate America's home energy renovation opportunities, or HERO, like their incorporated St. Louis County counterparts. Fairness alone justifies passage of this bill. When it comes up, please vote yes and give choices to your constituents who want to make much needed clean energy home improvements. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Rainier Pierce. You left? Okay. Then final speaker, Kevin Koch or Koch.
Good evening. I'm Kevin Cook. I'm at 328 Whitehall Drive in Manchester, Missouri. And I'm here to speak for my support on Bill 305, joining the Missouri Clean Energy District. As an environmental science and geology teacher, I could go on and on about the reasons why it's important for all of us to make an effort to use clean energy. HERO residential financing is an excellent option in many local communities that make it easier for homeowners to make energy-related improvements to their property. HERO provides access to energy efficiency with reasonable payments that are conveniently made along with the property taxes. I did my part to get it approved in Manchester. I introduced it to Manchester. Manchester City Council approved it unanimously. It is a win-win situation for all. And I even recommended HERO to a Manchester resident who has used HERO to finance, a solar project. She was not able to attend today, but she would like me to let you know that programs like the HERO program make alternative energy sources affordable and energy efficiency affordable, not just gadgets for those who can afford it. By converting to solar energy, I have reduced my electric bill significantly by 2/3. It also allows for energy budgeting, since we know there is a fixed cost at the end of the year. In addition, I too am planning to use Hero in several of my energy efficiency upgrade projects in the near future. And I urge the St. Louis County Council to bring Hero to the rest of the county, making this type of financing available to everyone in the county. Would be a great step toward ensuring that everyone in our community can do their part for the environment and make their homes more energy efficient. Thank you very much for your time, and I also support Bill 155 for the parks. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, if I could respond to that, just want to let you know, Mr. Koch, that we are working on some reforms to our PACE program in the county, and we should have something maybe by the end of the year. Thank you. Mr. Chairman, I would also like to make a comment, if I could, to either yourself or to the county executive, dealing with the raises at the jail. We passed those raises, correct? Through this council? I'd like to know where our holdup is and why aren't these raises being given to the people we passed it? So I don't know if you can answer that or if the county executive could answer that, but I think we need to know, and the people here in this room need to know where their raises are.
There are currently two bills that were presented to Councilwoman Irby, I believe, and those bills match the raises that the council passed through their piece of legislation. The piece of legislation that the council passed, I don't believe is lawful pursuant to Proposition P. So we're not going to issue payment on that ordinance, but there are currently two ordinances that the council is free to pass, and we will sign that and issue checks on those raises.
I'm confused. Didn't we pass those two?
You did. You passed an appropriation for those two, but the appropriation was unlawful pursuant to Proposition P and our county charter.
And who made that claim that they were unlawful?
Well, that was my administration and also through the opinion of our legal counsel.
Mr. Crane, did you say that they were unlawful?
Shall I answer?
Sure.
There was not a proper coextensive recommendation by the executive and the ordinance of the council as required under 8050.
So how do you recommend this to be corrected? If that's the case.
That you pass the ordinance consistent with 8050. That means that you and the executive get together and you pass the ordinances with a recommendation for a special appropriation made by the executive and then ordained by the council.
And you should know that the two ordinances that are currently pending before the council, one pertains to the corrections workers and one pertains to the medical staff. The medical staff would be paid out of the medical fund, health fund, and the correction workers will be paid out of Proposition P. If the council wants to move forward with the Proposition P correction workers first, the council's free to do that. And then we can talk further about the health fund, the workers that would be paid out of the health fund. But I presented that to Councilwoman Irby probably, I'm going to say 4 or 5 months ago. And it's, it hasn't moved forward.
Okay.
And they're the exact same amount of the raise that was recommended by the council.
Peter, is there a mechanism to request the funds after the council passes a bill? For the county executive to request the appropriate
The request for the appropriation, I think, has to precede the.
Is that what the charter says?
That's the way I interpret it.
But is that what it says?
Shall I read it for you?
Sure.
If recommended by the county executive, the council may by ordinance during any fiscal year make supplemental or emergency appropriations from available income.
So how is it last summer that the council passed a bill to fund Metro and the county executive recommendation came after we voted on that bill?
I don't know.
But we passed that, we got the recommendation, and then Metro received their money.
Right.
You remember that?
I do.
Sam, we also have an added issue with respect to payments made out of the health fund to workers and the charter, the potential, I believe there's a charter violation there as well. So I think we have two bills that have been separated. One is for correction workers, as I said. One is for the health department workers. And if you wanted to move forward with the correction workers, you could move forward with that bill. Both have been done pursuant to the charter. And then, like I said, we could debate over where that payment would come for the health, but you'd have a significant portion of those employees taken care of with the bill that was presented months ago. It's just a thought.
So,
and I'm willing to meet about that, talk about that, and discuss that. That's not a problem.
and we've
at all.
had this conversation for a while, and it appears that it's the near unanimous position of the county council to use Proposition P public safety money for nurses who work in the jail and not take that money from the health fund while we're struggling with the health fund, and we need that money to fight the opioid epidemic.
But there's about, we could hear from Dr. Khan, but there's approximately, I believe, $12 to $14 million there. Then this is this is a several $100,000 issue. Plus, we also have other public safety employees who don't want to see Proposition P utilized in that manner and funneled to the health department.
There's lots of opinions on Proposition P money, that's for sure.
Sure. And once again, I'm certainly willing to talk about it, but you could move forward with the corrections officers right now. There's a bill that's currently before the council. And if you wanted to move that forward, that bill is in the exact same amount of raises that were agreed to by the council and the executive branch.
The county council could choose to appropriate money from the funds that they don't believe are appropriate, or you could choose to release the money that we pass. There are two pathways.
Well, that's true. And there's also the art of compromise, and it would require us all to get together and make some type of a compromise. And I'm more than willing to do that. And I met with Councilwoman Irby, and at the time I thought we had sort of come to something that might be an agreement, but it wound up not being.
Well, how much of...
But once again, you could move forward with that, with the COs, and that would not be a problem at all.
And how much of the funds of Proposition P should cover the Justice Center nurses, and how much of the funds from the health fund should cover them in your idea of a compromise?
I would need to see what was available in both funds, and maybe that's something we could talk about.
So some Prop P funding for the nurses in the Justice Center would be appropriate.
And I'm not saying that that would be appropriate. I'm just saying I would be willing to talk about that. And, you know, we'd need to understand what individual roles were and all that kind of thing and what their functions were. But I think talking about it would be a very good thing. And I would urge you, in the meantime, while we're discussing that and while we've got this on the table, we ought to discuss the possibility of moving forward with the COs, because that, you know, that's just a very clean analysis with respect to Proposition P, and then it would take all of those employees and, you know, get them taken care of. I'm just proposing that it would be and it's currently drawn up, it's prepared, and in amount, it's exactly the same what the council had agreed to.
Councilman Tracus.
I'd like to direct my inquiry to Mr. Crane. Peter, other than the procedural nuance that you just mentioned, that being, as I understand it, since the recommendation didn't come from the county executive, ergo, regardless of what the council did, it isn't legal in your opinion. Is that a fair summary of what you said?
Well, I don't consider it a mere nuance. I consider it part of the charter. That there has to be both the recommendation of the executive as well as the ordinance of the county council, so that neither branch can unilaterally make a special or supplemental appropriation.
Other than that, have you offered any opinion to the county executive regarding the appropriateness of the use of Prop P funds for the correction nurses? Or anyone in your office for that matter?
Have I given an opinion to anybody in my office?
No, have you given or anyone in your office provided an opinion to the county executive with respect to the availability of Prop P funds for the purposes of giving raises to the correction center nurses?
No.
You have not?
Right.
So my question now is to Mr. Stanger. Am I correct that when Prop P was developed and evolved, you were instrumental in broadening the scope of Prop P, changing the definition from law enforcement to public safety? Is that a correct statement?
No.
So you had nothing to do with changing the language of the proposition from law enforcement to public safety?
It's been quite a long time, but I don't recall that now.
And other than your opinion that public safety does not include health department nurses who work in the correction center, do you have any other basis other than your stated promise to law enforcement and first responders to use Prop P money exclusively for those purposes? Any other basis for your conclusion that Prop P funds are sacrosanct and unavailable to anyone who objectively works in the area of public safety, such as the correction center nurses?
I think we have a charter provision that requires that nurses would be paid from the health fund. I think we also made promises to our community that Prop P would be used within the scope of Prop P's intended purpose, and I think this is beyond the scope, and I think that what the bill intends to do is to basically funnel Proposition P money into the health department, which is, I think, an inappropriate use. And certainly, reasonable minds can differ on this, and I appreciate your position. I respectfully disagree with it, and I think that, you know, I think many in our law enforcement and our business community also who supported the proposition also disagree. I don't speak alone, and I don't stand alone in that. But once again, I think your position is certainly one that's reasonable. I think your analysis is reasonable. It's just something that I can't agree with based on the promises that were made with respect to Proposition P. However, in the alternative, you know, we do have two bills that are currently on the dais and can be considered by the council. The one particularly with respect to the COs are the corrections workers. You know, we do have that available. And even though reasonable minds may differ as to the health fund, we certainly could agree on that and move that bill forward immediately. I mean, that's what I would urge we do. And it would, you know, you would take care of a very large portion of the employees that we're trying to help. And then in the meantime, we could perhaps hammer out some type of a compromise on the health workers. And I'm more than willing to do that. And I was more than willing to sit down with Councilwoman Irby, and we did. And we had a very cordial discussion. And the discussions can continue to be cordial. And once again, I respect your position. I just disagree with it.
Very well. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair, I would like to make a recommendation that all the parties that are involved in these two bills, whether it be Councilwoman Irby, the county executive, the chairman, whoever, department heads, sit down between now and the next meeting and hammer this out. If we're that close, then we need to hammer this out and get this done. We can't hold these people hostage for something that we thought was going through, and just because people won't meet or won't be in the same room with somebody else, that needs to go away, and we need to get this thing resolved as quickly as possible.
Well, I think we also have to understand and look back historically how we were able to pay the Justice Center nurses out of public safety funds 20 years ago without violating the charter. If we were able to do it then there should be no issue about treating them as public safety employees now because, you know, that's where they work. So we may have to have a historical understanding of why that wasn't against the charter in the 90s, but it is now.
So I guess to follow up, can I get somebody's commitment here on the dais and then for the public record that there will be a meeting between now and the next meeting of this council to hammer this out and give us a full report and on this whole issue so we can put this to bed?
Certainly not a problem from the executive branch. We'd be happy to do that. And, you know, leading up to some of these issues, we were meeting, I think, as a group to, you know, address some of this stuff. So we're happy to meet again. It's not a problem.
Okay.
Very happy.
I know Councilwoman Irby is not here this evening, but if somebody could communicate with her to put this together, I think would be good. Stop playing the Kabuki Theater with this.
And my staff is present tonight too, so they can set that up.
Okay.
Any other comments?
We had the opportunity all along to give the Justice Service workers a raise. That's from the get-go. We didn't do it. So to say that we didn't have that from the very beginning, you had that opportunity to do that. I agreed with that all along. And we talked about the nurses, of the history with the nurses. You can't just switch them from departments. Now, the conversation was brought up to possibly do that, to find a way to bring them back in to the Justice Service workers. Now, I don't know, maybe the county counselor could explain if was that, I know by charter it was changed 20 years ago, why, I don't know, but I mean, to get it back to that's not as simple as us just sitting here and deciding that's what happens. But, I mean, I said all along, and I talked to the nurses and I talked to the Justice Service workers more than once, and I supported giving them their raises and then move on with the nurses. We could have had this dialogue back then, but it was being held up for some very obvious reasons, and here we are. So maybe after Tuesday, we can sit down and put all that aside and just do what we should have done before, in my opinion.
This concludes the public forum. Proceed with the introduction of bills.
Bill number 174, introduced by Councilmember Page, an ordinance authorizing the county executive to accept a grant of up to $15,000 from the Office of State Courts Administrator, appropriating the same for support of the Family Courts Permanency Planning Program, and authorizing the county executive to execute necessary documents. Bill number 175, introduced by Councilmember Page, an ordinance authorizing the county executive to accept a grant of up to $24,999.99 from the Office of State Courts Administrator, appropriating the same for support of the Family Court Substance Abusing Families Engaged in Treatment and Intervention Program, and authorizing the county executive to execute necessary documents. Bill number 176, introduced by Councilmember Page, an ordinance authorizing the county executive to accept a grant of up to $105,000 from the Missouri Veterans Commission, appropriating the same for support of services provided by the Veterans Program of the Department of Human Services, and authorizing the county executive to execute necessary documents, including a contract with Bi-State Development Agency of the Missouri-Illinois Metropolitan District DBA Transportation Management Association for provision of ambulatory rides for veterans. Bill number 177, introduced by Councilmember Page, an ordinance authorizing the county executive to accept a grant of up to $361,295.90 from the Missouri Department of Transportation, appropriating same for support of the Commercial Motor Vehicle Enforcement Unit of the Police Department, authorizing the county executive to execute necessary documents. Bill number 178, introduced by Councilmember Page, an ordinance amending ordinance number 26,706 by repealing and reenacting Section 2, pertaining to 4 grants from the Office of National Drug Control Policy for support of police functions related to drug law enforcement. Bill number 179, introduced by Councilmember Walton Gray, an ordinance amending ordinance number 25,429 is amended by repealing and reenacting Section 2 pertaining to PC 08-13 MKAM Incorporated. Mr. Chair, that is all the bills.
Perfection.
Bill number 133, introduced by Councilmember Page.
Move to hold bill number 133, and that will be the order.
Bill number 136, introduced by Councilmember Wassinger.
Hold on the order of business, please.
136 is held.
Bill number 143, introduced by Councilmember Harder.
Please hold Bill number 143 for right now.
143 is held.
Bill number 155, introduced by Councilmember Page. Mr. Chair, we have a substitute bill.
Please read the substitute.
Substitute Bill number 1 for Bill number 155, introduced by Councilmember Page, an ordinance calling and providing for the holding of an election in St. Louis County on the 6th day of November 2018 for the purpose of submitting to the qualified voters of said county a proposition to amend the provisions of the St. Louis County Charter pertaining to the Department of Parks and Recreation.
Move for adoption of substitute bill number 1 to bill number 155.
Second.
All in favor of adoption of substitute bill number 1 to bill number 155? Say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Can I ask a question about that? And I said aye, but I may ask a question.
Sure. Sure.
I know the Parks Director sent just a small change request on paragraph 2, section 1, which would still, in essence, it would still go to a vote. But if there was a longer lease requested, they would go to a vote of all the people, just like everything else. So that way, if there were some situation where somebody would like some guarantee that they'd have more than 10 years to operate, they'd be allowed to do that, request it, as long as it passed the vote of the citizens. Is there a reason we couldn't do that?
I don't support that. I don't know if you're speaking in favor of that amendment. I don't know if anyone else does.
I was just curious why you don't support it.
Why I don't support that?
Yes, sir.
I think 10 years is long enough for a long-term lease. The advantage you would receive from longer than 10 years, which would allow you to put more private equity into a public-private partnership, would be mitigated from more participation on the county side, and would still allow you to put together a nice project.
But with the added language, it would still go to a vote, so.
That's not how I read it. I appreciate your interpretation of that language, but that's not how I read it.
Okay. Does anybody else have any opinion on that? I guess not. Pretty well formed. All right.
Substitute Bill number 1 for Bill number 155 is adopted. I move for perfection of substitute bill.
Would you like me to read it for perfection?
Sure.
Substitute Bill number 1 for Bill number 155, introduced by Councilmember Page.
Move for perfection of substitute Bill number 1 for Bill number 155.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Substitute Bill number 1 for Bill number 155 is perfected.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I have a question on that. Just want to make sure we're clear before we move further with this, is that any activity dealing with our project that we already have going on in Sylvan Springs is grandfathered out of this, or not included in this, so that the veterans that we've worked so hard with will get their piece of cemetery ground in the future.
I think we processed that question a couple of years ago. It certainly was a hot topic, but we all understand that time is of the essence in that regard. It's already been 2 years, and many of us would like to see that project move forward so that veterans would have a place to use as part of their cemetery as land is becoming scarce. If that contract is able to come before us, before this charter amendment is voted for and approved, then the council would be able to carry out its original intent, which was to approve that transfer.
Because until the lawsuit set up, I believe this council was pretty much in favor of that transfer of property. And I just want to make sure that, and the supporters of this know that these are two separate transactions going forward.
Well, that's still my opinion. Can't speak for everyone on the council, but my opinion would be to move forward with that transaction. And we hope that we do, and we also recognize that moving forward an opportunity to have a longer decision-making window when these large projects come forward that allow more participation from residents of St. Louis County would be better. And that's one advantage of this charter amendment in bringing these larger decisions about long-term leases, more than 10 years, or sale of park property. That's the advantage of bringing those decisions to the voters.
Okay, thank you.
Next item.
Bill number 160, introduced by Councilmember Page.
Move for perfection of Bill number 160.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Bill number 160 is perfected.
Bill number 161, introduced by Councilmember Page.
Move for perfection of Bill number 161.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Bill number 161 is perfected.
Bill number 162, introduced by Councilmember Page.
Move for perfection of Bill number 162.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Bill number 162 is perfected.
Bill number 163, introduced by Councilmember Harder.
I move that we perfect Bill number 163.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Bill number 163 is perfected.
Bill number 164, introduced by Councilmember Harder.
I also move that we perfect Bill number 164.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Bill number 164 is perfected.
Bill number 165, introduced by Councilmembers Tracus and Harder.
I move to perfect Bill number 165, please.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Bill number 165 is perfected.
Bill number 166, introduced by Councilmember Harder.
I move to perfect Bill number 166.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Bill number 166 is perfected.
Bill number 167, introduced by Councilmember Page.
Move to perfect Bill number 167.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Bill number 167 is perfected.
Bill number 168, introduced by Councilmember Page.
Move to perfect Bill number 168.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Bill number 168 is perfected.
Bill number 169, introduced by Councilmember Page.
Move to perfect Bill number 169.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Bill number 169 is perfected.
Bill number 170, introduced by Councilmember Page.
Move to perfect Bill number 170.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Bill number 170 is perfected.
Bill number 171, introduced by Councilmember Tracus.
Move to perfect Bill number 171, please.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Bill number 171 is perfected.
Bill number 172, introduced by Councilmember Tracus.
I have a substitute bill, I believe.
Oh, I'm
173 is the substitute.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. I move to perfect Bill number 172.
Second.
All in favor of Bill number 172, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Bill number 172 is perfected.
Bill number 173, introduced by Councilmember Tracus. Mr. Chair, we have a substitute bill.
Please read the substitute bill.
Substitute Bill number 1 for Bill number 173, introduced by Councilmember Tracus, an ordinance submitting to the qualified voters of St. Louis County, Missouri at the election on the 6th day of November 2018, a proposition to amend St. Louis County Charter by amending Section 8.050.
I move for the adoption of substitute Bill number 1 for Bill number 173.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Substitute Bill number 1 for Bill number 173 is adopted.
Shall I read for perfection?
Yes.
Yes.
Substitute Bill number 1 for Bill number 173, introduced by Councilmember Tracus.
Move to perfect substitute Bill number 1 for Bill number 173.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Substitute Bill number 1 for Bill number 173 is perfected. Final passage.
Bill number 353, introduced by Councilmember Page.
Move to hold Bill number 353. Bill number 353 is held.
Substitute Bill number 1 for Bill number 139, introduced by Councilmember Page.
Move for final passage of substitute Bill number 1 for Bill number 139.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Erby? Councilmember Page?
Aye.
Councilmember Wassinger?
Aye.
Councilmember Gray?
Aye.
Councilmember Dolan?
Aye.
Councilmember Tracus?
Aye.
Councilmember Harder?
Aye.
Mr. Chair, on substitute Bill number 1 for Bill number 139, there are 6 ayes and 1 absent.
Substitute Bill number 1 for Bill number 139 is adopted.
Substitute Bill number 1 for Bill number 140, introduced by Councilmember Page.
Move for final passage of substitute Bill number 1 for Bill number 140.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Erby? Councilmember Page?
Aye.
Councilmember Wassinger?
Aye.
Councilmember Gray?
Aye.
Councilmember Dolan?
Aye.
Councilmember Tracus?
Aye.
Councilmember Harder?
Aye.
Mr. Chair, on substitute Bill number 1 for Bill number 140, there are 6 ayes and 1 absent.
Substitute Bill number 1 for Bill number 140 is finally passed.
Bill number 156, introduced by Councilmember Harder.
I move for final passage of Bill number 156.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Erby? Councilmember Page?
Aye.
Councilmember Wassinger?
Aye.
Councilmember Gray?
Aye.
Councilmember Dolan?
Aye.
Councilmember Tracus?
Aye.
Councilmember Harder?
Aye.
Mr. Chair, on Bill number 156, there are 6 ayes and 1 absent.
Bill number 156 is finally passed.
Bill number 157, introduced by council members Wassinger and Tracus.
I move for final passage of bill number 157.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Erby? Councilmember Page?
Aye.
Councilmember Wassinger?
Aye.
Councilmember Gray?
Aye.
Councilmember Dolan?
Aye.
Councilmember Tracus?
Aye.
Councilmember Harder?
Aye.
Mr. Chair, on bill number 157, there are 6 ayes and 1 absent.
Bill number 157 is finally passed.
Bill number 158, introduced by Councilmember Page.
Move for final passage of bill number 158.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Erby? Councilmember Page?
Aye.
Councilmember Wassinger?
Aye.
Councilmember Gray?
Aye.
Councilmember Dolan?
Aye.
Councilmember Tracus?
Aye.
Councilmember Harder?
Aye. Mr. Chair, I have a question on this.
Yes.
This is authorizing the county executive to execute a contract with this company to wash the windows. I thought they're already doing that. And is this after the fact, or is this a different company?
I believe this is an annual contract, but if you have questions, there's no harm in holding the bill until your questions are.
No, I don't want to I'm just saying, we're all talking about procedures of who can authorize certain things and certain orders and all that, and here the work's already being done and we're just now first authorizing this?
My understanding that the work's being done on last year's contract, I hope I'm not wrong about that.
So this is going forward for the next year?
I believe so. Councilwoman Wassinger?
No, I was just asking if
Okay.
are they currently doing the work now? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, we've been getting text messages that they're supposed to be doing this building.
I think this is the same group.
Okay, I'll check, thanks.
Did you vote?
Yes, aye.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, on bill number 158, there are 6 ayes and 1 absent.
Bill number 158 is finally passed. Thank you.
Bill number 159, introduced by Councilmember Dolan.
I move for final passage of bill number 159.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Erby? Councilmember Page?
Aye.
Councilmember Wassinger?
Aye.
Councilmember Gray?
Aye.
Councilmember Dolan?
Aye.
Councilmember Tracus?
Aye.
Councilmember Harder?
Aye.
Mr. Chair, on bill number 159, there are 6 ayes and 1 absent.
Bill number 159 is finally passed.
Moving on to resolutions, we have 3 this evening, Mr. Chair. Resolution number 1, introduced by Councilmember Dolan.
I move for adoption of resolution number 1. It's for a group over in Webster Groves, the mission of the Deaf Empowerment Awareness Foundation.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Erby? Councilmember Page?
Aye.
Councilmember Wassinger?
Aye.
Councilmember Gray?
Aye.
Councilmember Dolan?
Aye.
Councilmember Tracus?
Aye.
Councilmember Harder?
Aye.
Mr. Chair, on resolution number 1, there are 6 ayes and 1 absent.
Resolution number 1 is adopted.
Resolution number 2, introduced by Councilmembers Dolan, Erby. I'll make that Page for Erby.
Yes.
Page, Wassinger, Walton, Gray, Tracus, and Harder.
Move for adoption of resolution number 2.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Erby? Councilmember Page?
Aye.
Councilmember Wassinger?
Aye.
Councilmember Gray?
Aye.
Councilmember Dolan?
Aye.
Councilmember Tracus?
Aye.
Councilmember Harder?
Aye.
Mr. Chair, on resolution number 2, there are 6 ayes and 1 absent.
Resolution number 2 is adopted.
Resolution number,
Can I just
Yes.
so people know, it was Chief Mayor, longtime citizen of Florissant, and representative of all of the St. Louis region, Robert Lowry, passed away. That's what the resolution was, honoring his service to the entire St. Louis region.
Thank you.
Thank you.
resolution number 3, introduced by Councilmember Walton Gray.
I move for the adoption of resolution number 3.
Second. Roll call.
Councilmember Erby? Councilmember Page?
Aye.
Councilmember Wassinger?
Aye.
Councilmember Gray?
Aye.
Councilmember Dolan?
Aye.
Councilmember Tracus?
Aye.
Councilmember Harder?
Aye.
Mr. Chair, on resolution number 3, there are 6 ayes and 1 absent.
Resolution number 3 is adopted.
Moving on to unfinished business, item number 1, 3rd District.
Hold on the order of business, please.
So ordered.
Item number 2.
Hold on the other order of business, and that will be the order.
Item number 3, 2nd District.
Hold on the order of business, and that will be the order.
Item number 4, 7th District.
Hold on the order of business.
So ordered.
Item number 5, 3rd District.
Hold on the order of business.
So ordered.
And moving on to new business, Mr. Chair, we have one prepared order this evening.
I move for the adoption of order number 1.
Second.
And
What?
I think we should make mention is regarding, the next meeting will be held on Monday, August 13th.
Next meeting of the county council will be Monday, August 13th at 2 p.m. to accommodate the schedule for our charter amendments for the November ballot. And this will allow them to be considered in time to be finally passed. Have the county executive consider signing them. And if he does not choose to sign them, then we can override the veto and have them on the ballot for November. All in favor of adoption of order number 1, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Order number 1 is adopted. Any comments from council members? Yes.
I know we have a big week next week, election-wise, but in addition to that, the PGA is coming to St. Louis. It is a wonderful event for our community. It's gonna bring in a lot of people, tourists, money for our hotels and our restaurants. So if you get the chance to go and support this fantastic event, I hope you do so.
Thank you. Councilman Harder.
Now that we've set the order for the next meeting on the 13th, I'd like to amend what I was saying about the nurses' raise, is that we set that date as a progress report, or maybe to finally pass those raises by the 13th, or at least have something to talk about on the 13th. That gives them 2 weeks.
Well, we don't have a bill on the agenda to address them, so it won't be able to finally pass them, but I think we could make some progress on some dialogue. Hopefully, we can talk about that on the 13th and try and move this issue along.
Yeah, I would encourage all those that are involved in this, and I know we had a big discussion before, and I know my assistant Chris was involved in that, and I thought we had a lot of this hammered out, and I just hope we can get this settled really quick.
Sure. Well, we all thought we had resolution, but we will revisit it.
Okay.
Any other comments?
Motion to adjourn.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. Motion carries. Thanks. We're adjourned.